For a high schooler, the winter season means two things: holidays and scholarship applications. On the holidays, one of the few reliefs in this inundation of applications is the blessing of repeated essay prompts. Out of these repeated prompts, one of the most frequently occurring is an inquisition about your greatest accomplishment. But before I could start describing my greatest accomplishment, I had to first identify what that accomplishment was. This was extremely difficult for me, and not because I had too many options. Whenever I would think of one of my most significant accomplishments, I couldn't think of a way I could write a 500-word explanation of it, as most accomplishments I found already to be self-explanatory. After many failed attempts, I was hit with the realization that the focus of my search shouldn't be on the accomplishment itself, but instead on what the accomplishment represents. Once I reapproached my search with this new mindset, one accomplishment immediately rose above the rest. Although I did not think so at the time, my greatest accomplishment was earning a bronze medal and placing third in the Gobbler Grind half marathon. Many people consider finishing a half marathon an admirable feat, let alone placing in one. These reasons were why I was initially proud when I was handed the bronze third place medal. However, this pride was no more special than the pride I felt following any other athletic success, especially when compared to the gold medals that I've won. It was not until later that day, after a talk with my mother, that I became aware of the significance of my accomplishment. My mother was crying tears of joy, and I tried to convince her that a bronze medal was nothing to get worked up about. She then asked me to picture where I was 8 years ago, and I did so, and I understood why she was crying. 8 years earlier, I was in a wheelchair, unable to walk or move my leg. When I was a child, I was diagnosed with Perthes disease, which made one of my legs problematically longer than the other. After 2 surgeries, my disease was treated, but I was tasked with the challenge of relearning to walk. The doctors said that I would lag behind my peers physically, and for many years I did. Even though I tried to stay active, my difficulty running discouraged me from pursuing physical activity. It was not until middle school that I realized that I did not want to live the rest of my life in poor physical condition. Consequently, I decided to start running. At the beginning, my method of running consisted of clumsily slamming one foot down in front of the other at a speed slightly above an average walking pace. My thunderous stomping was not a pretty sight to see, nor a pleasing sound to hear. I was terrible at running, and I knew it. But somehow I enjoyed it, and I wanted to be good at it, so I stuck with it. I ran every day possible. By the end of 8th grade, I was almost average speed, and by freshman year, I was considered fast. The noisy, uncoordinated flailing in my legs was a thing of the past. In high school, my passion for running made joining the cross-country team an obvious choice, and I proceeded to love the sport. After the cross-country season ended, I signed up for the Gobbler Grind half marathon, which I ran prior to the conversation with my mother. After reflecting on the chronology of my recovery, I realized that the progress that I made, which overwhelmed me with a sense of pride and accomplishment. But it was no longer for finishing third. My pride was, and is, for my perseverance to overcome my setback and my initiative to meet my goal. Although it may be an exaggeration to say getting Perthes disease was a blessing, I would not have developed the qualities of passion, perseverance, or hard work without it. The development of these qualities and the overcoming of my obstacles are what compose my greatest accomplishment. The bronze medal is just a physical representation of that accomplishment. So whenever you decide to look at an accomplishment, whether it is yours or someone else's, don't evaluate it based on what it is. Instead, ask why it is, and that reveals all the meaning.